Why do kids run away from home? This is a common behavior that we see sometimes. I'm Nicolene Peck, and I'm the previous foster parent of many troubled teens, many of which, in fact, almost all of them, had a history with running away. And I learned a lot about why they run away and what they're hoping to accomplish by that, and maybe what kinds of things they could learn to help them instead of running away. So let's talk about why kids run away in this video. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why a child might decide to run away, and the last reason you'll want to stick around for because I think it might surprise you. Now, there are many reasons why a person might run away. And one of those reasons is kind of a sad reason, and that's the person could be in danger. So when a young person is in danger and they don't know how to handle their problem, the only solution seems to be to get out, to get away, to preserve themselves. So as adults and as parents, we need to ask ourselves the question, do we actually feel safe? Does the child feel like they're battling me? Do they feel like they can't trust me? Maybe have we been a little too heavy-handed? This could be a sign. Now, I know that that's maybe a hard thing to hear for some people, but it definitely can be true. Maybe a young person is in a situation that they don't know how to get out of. In fact, they don't even know that there are ways to handle difficult situations like that. The good news is there are ways that you can handle situations, even abusive situations, without having to put yourself in danger by running away. As I get into my other reasons, you'll learn other ways that you can handle your problems that don't require running away. So be sure to stick around and gather some of that information, especially if you might be contemplating running away yourself. The second reason that some people choose to run away is because they don't feel like they're being understood. Sometimes we think of things in a way that somebody else doesn't get, or at least we think that they don't get it, and we don't know how to become understood. So sometimes we feel like we've got to get our message through to them, and that's why we run away. Sadly, what usually happens is the person that we're running away from just feels like they need to control you more, not actually understand you more. And so they might go into a lockdown type mentality when you're found, because it almost always happens. I was a foster parent. All of the teens that ran away from my home were always found, and many of them did it repeatedly. Why did they run away from my home? You might be wondering that. Well, they ran away because they didn't know how to solve their problems, and because many of them had a habit of running away. So in their homes, when they didn't get things their way, or maybe when they would feel anxious or frustrated, they developed a habit of running away from their problem because nobody ever taught them that there was a way they could solve their problem. In fact, they could feel better for having solved the problem, and it didn't have to be as difficult as their anxiety was telling them that it might be. One skill that I taught my foster children that would help them become understood was a skill called disagreeing appropriately. When a person disagrees appropriately, what they're doing is seeking to understand the other person's point of view and then sharing their point of view in a calm and relatable way. So the steps to disagreeing appropriately are to look at a person, to keep a calm face, voice, and body. I mean really calm. To say that you understand the other person's point of view, and then to share your point of view, to listen to what the other person has to say, and then to say okay and drop the subject. Now, obviously, we don't say okay to things that are dangerous to us, but when it's our parent and they're giving us a no answer about something, or an instruction about something, or they're sharing their opinion, then we can say, okay, acknowledging that's how you feel, that's your opinion, so that we can come to that place of understanding. But dropping the subject is so very important. Do you know, it's ruminating on the same thought again and again and again that is actually what propels us forward to leave our situation, to run away. It's because we're not controlling what our brain is doing. Many people don't realize that. They feel like the only way to make the anxiety go away is to keep thinking about it. And then when the anxiety persists, then they think, well, maybe I can run away from the anxiety. But even after you run away, the anxiety is still there. In fact, then usually comes fear, a feeling of loneliness, abandonment. It's definitely not helpful for a young person to be in that type of a situation, because sometimes we start doing things that are more drastic than we ever would do just because we're desperate. The third reason that a person might choose to run away is because they have something to hide. Here's the thing. We all make mistakes. Every person makes bad choices once in a while. And I know that it can be really humbling when someone else finds out about your mistake. But if that person loves you, if they really love you, even if they have disappointment for a minute or even a day or two, they're going to still have that love prevail. I was just talking with a woman the other day who talked about a teenage pregnancy that she had. She was sure her family would be mad at her, maybe even, kind of disown her in a way just because of how things happened. But she was completely wrong. The family supported her. In fact, the family grew and bonded in greater ways because they saw her through this trial that she had. And everyone was happy for her in the end because she became a great person for relying on the family as she went through this difficult circumstance. So don't hide. The people who really love you. And if you tell someone who doesn't seem like they do love you, there is someone who does. And running away just gets rid of your support. It doesn't really help you hide anything in the end. Before I get to my last 2 reasons why people run away, is some of this interesting to you? If so, give it a thumbs up. In fact, leave me a comment below. I'd love to know your experiences with runaways and what types of thoughts are going through your mind. The 4th reason that people choose to run away is because they don't know how to solve their problems. Problem solving takes practice. In fact, there are certain skills that a person usually has to use to solve their problems. There was an exercise that I used with my foster children that helped them learn better ways to solve their problems. This exercise was called SODAS. I know that's a funny, strange name. It's an acronym that stands for situation, options, disadvantages, advantages, and solution. Did you know that there are advantages to making the wrong choice, even a dangerous choice? And there are disadvantages to making the right choice or a really productive, healthy choice. There are, and sometimes we don't focus on those when we're trying to help another person who might be contemplating drastic decisions for their lives. So maybe you're helping someone right now who is contemplating running away. Maybe you're even contemplating it for yourself. Do a SODAS. So here's the situation. Someone is doing something that I don't like. Or the situation could be, I feel like getting out of here. Whatever it is. You write that as the situation, but you make sure to stop the situation right before a decision is made. Then comes the options. Well, what are my options? I can get out of here and run away. I can stay and get calm and talk to the person. Or I can disagree appropriately. And I explained some of that skill before. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of each of these particular choices that I might make? Well, then you go through that. Well, one of the advantages to running away is I don't have to look at the person and I don't have to face my anxiety right then. But it doesn't go away. I'm going to have to face it at some point. So that's one of the disadvantages. I'm just making my solution to my problem take longer. I might be cold. I might be hungry. I might not know where to go. I might get somebody else in trouble for keeping me a secret. So think of the advantages and disadvantages. There are many advantages that we don't consider to those good behaviors. Then at the end, make a solution, a really honest solution. That brings me to reason number 5. The 5th reason that people might choose to run away is because they actually don't want to acknowledge the truth. I know that's kind of shocking, right? I promised you that there would be a kind of shocking revelation. But it's true. Many people feed themselves a lot of lies. They tell themselves things like, nobody cares about me, nobody would notice if I'm gone, they'd be better off if I'm not here, my life is going to be better without them, maybe the point will get through to them, maybe they'll feel bad if I'm gone, and so I want them to feel bad because that's going to bring them closer to me. All of those kinds of things, they go into our head, and really they're not focusing on truths, they're just focusing on emotions that we're having at the time. We're in the wrong part of our brain when we're thinking of running away. The place we need to be at in our brain is in the prefrontal cortex, the part that acknowledges and analyzes the truth. So what is the truth? Those people are connected to your life because they care about you. They may not be behaving properly, and maybe you're not either, but that doesn't mean they don't care about you. They absolutely do. And running away is just a power struggle. It doesn't solve anything. So make sure that you choose to actually solve the problem, not to create additional problems by power struggling and running away. At some point, when you're found, because everyone is, then you have to solve the problem anyway. That's the truth. You have to talk about it then. So why not just talk about it now? Another truth that people don't recognize is I can get calm. I can become calm. So choose that. Choose that instead of feeding the anxiety and those anxious thoughts that are in your head again and again. Those are the things that are pushing you away from the people that would support you and love you. Those assumptions that everybody's going to be mad at you or hates you or doesn't care, those aren't true. A person could feel emotional maybe about something you did. That doesn't really change necessarily the way that they think about you as a person. Remember that. There are truths. You're valuable to them. And they are actually valuable to you. And if you leave them, you will feel a hole in your life too. These are just some of the reasons that a person might choose to run away. I mean, you probably know many more. And if you want to list them in the chat, you can. I know that some people have chemical things that they're dealing with and lots of other stresses and burdens that might be part of their lives. But generally speaking, these 5 reasons attach to almost every other reason why a person might choose to run away. If you're making that choice right now for yourself, or if someone around you is trying to make that choice, I'd like you to hold off on the choice for a minute until you can figure out how well you can master yourself. There is something I have called the Calm Parenting Toolkit. Now, it sounds like it's for parents, but really it's for anybody. The skills that I share in that Calm Parenting Toolkit, which is basically a mini course that a person can take to learn to master themselves, their own self-government, and they can learn to communicate more calmly with other people, could be really beneficial for you as you are trying to strengthen relationships with someone or solve some of your problems. You've got to do it with a level head. Be calm. Click on that Calm Parenting Toolkit link that is below this video in the description. It's free. You have nothing to lose. You only have the opportunity to gain more control over yourself, which will then mean more control over your happiness, your relationships, and your life. Click on that link now.